up, NFL fans? Did you miss us like we missed you? I don't think so. It's not possible. It's your boy Kevin Phillips Fox with the Legit Football NFL podcast. I'm brought to you from the man from down under, Adrian Revito, Scab producer, Scab no more. Adrian, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I noticed. I didn't even notice in our pre-show that you've got a Knicks jersey, or a Knicks jacket on, and I don't know what happened, but I know you've been very, very fervent on Twitter about the Knicks. So we know this football podcast, but I feel like if you want a platform,
dude, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I mean, do you guys do NBA in Australia?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's probably bigger here than NFL, to be honest with you.
Who's your favorite team?
I don't personally. If I was going to, and I'm not just saying it to make you happy, I always used to play the Knicks back in when NBA Jam was a thing.
Oh yeah.
So I would probably. I actually I don't know. Whenever I pick a team to follow for a sport, I pick for weird reasons, and that would probably send me the Knicks way.
I would love to welcome you on the bandwagon. For those of you who are here for NFL chat, we're gonna get there, but Knicks are in the playoffs right now. They just advanced to round 2. There was some sus officiating in the last round, which is what Adrian's referring to. I don't want to know the names of the refs, but I unfortunately know the names of the refs.
Well, the addresses.
If there's any league with worse officiating than football, it's the NBA. But that's okay. I digress. Go Knicks. Round 2, baby. Let's go. We're taking on Jimmy's Pacers actually in the second round.
I think the thing with what I love about NFL is, and what I dislike about, I tried NBA and I tried NHL.
Yeah.
Is every game feels so consequential in the NFL because it's one of 17.
Right.
What is NBA season like? 763 games?
82 games.
Yeah.
No,
it might as well be 763.
I couldn't agree with you more. The NFL's stakes are so much higher. You lose one game that you should have won, and it hurts. It stings. Oh my God. Anyways, we have a lot to catch up on. We have some headlines to talk about. We have some drafting to break down. Armand in the chat already, keeping the chat afloat like he always does. Armand, your Jets. They did something similar to what he asked for in the draft. We let Armand run the Jets, and
I remember who he picked.
He picked tackle, and we're looking at Armand. I've heard Thursday for the schedule release. Let's see what happens, but that's what I heard. Oh my God!
Oh, nice.
Next Thursday, Age. So that means Friday we can talk about it. Oh, I love it.
Oh, let's do it. And shout out Titan Maximum is in the chat already. I'm really sorry, man. I remember he talked about being scared the Chargers were taking Joel. I'm sorry, dude.
They sniped you, bro. They sniped you, and then what? Remind me again. Who did the Titans end up with in the first round?
Didn't they take JC Latham?
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. They're in good hands.
Yeah, they took Latham.
Yeah. Armand took Fontanu, which is solid pick. The draft was insane. We have a lot to talk about there. There are a handful of headlines that we just want to, graze over really quickly before we dive in. There's a lot of recapping. We've talked about, everybody does winners and losers. We want to take a more holistic approach. I don't think we'll get to all 32 teams if we want to actually in-depth talk about them, Adrian, but I think we should just look at draft classes and make our quick hit opinions. So let these headlines rip.
All right. Number one. I hate this first one.
So we got Odell Beckham Jr., elder statesman, wide receiver, formerly of greatest catch of all time fame, now turned formerly dated Kim Kardashian, something along those lines. I don't know. I try not to keep up with that stuff. I go out of my way to avoid news like that. But Odell Beckham Jr., now member of the Miami Dolphins. Adrian, talk to me about this. You had a visceral reaction. Why?
And I'm gonna get a little visceral. I like. All right. I said to you last year when you signed with the Ravens.
We had a bet.
And he was terrible. And not the victory.
Terrible is not. That's a strong word. That's a strong word.
I'm bringing up his stats right now. But he is like on the wrong side of 30. Has done both his ACLs. He went for 565 yards with the Ravens, who had no receivers,
missing a lot of games,
and he was getting paid $10 million.
Well, overpaid for sure. That's not even a debate. I doubt his contract with Miami this year is anything more than a minimum with some sprinkles. I don't think this is a crazy. I doubt
the last time he hit 1,000 yards, COVID wasn't a thing. The last time he hit 1,100 yards is 2016.
Yeah,
dude,
no, for sure.
Like almost 10 years ago. And my point being, anyway, look, I'm fireballing because Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
flamed about him because he's one of those more name than game kind of players at the moment, and I don't
yeah.
mind that if you're like, past like if he's a subplot to anything, it's like, oh, OBJ signed here, great, cool. But like they make such a big deal like he's a weapon store, and I'm sorry, but he is not.
Yeah, I haven't heard much of that, to be honest with you. I think the consensus is people will gas it up and be annoying about it because it's what people do, especially on X. You know, that's just their cup of tea. They love doing that stuff. Yeah, Armand broke the deal for us, the GOAT, up to 8.25. But look, it's a 1 year, $3 million deal. Those up twos, those are just agent reporting, trying to get people to look good. Um,
I'm a little less mad. I saw 8.25 by Ian Schefter,
I
and
had a pretty strong. Just say Ian Schefter. That's so funny.
I say Ian. Sorry, Ian
You might not
Rappaport.
have, but either way, I thought that was funny.
Hey, no, I did say Ian Schefter, but it's 7:30 in the morning right
Right.
now.
Early for
So,
you. Normal, human time for me, but like grossly early for you. So, I, this sign is borderline too inconsequential for me to even have an opinion on. Like, I don't know really. I don't think I can even. I'm not
especially to
mad
the
at it.
Dolphins, what's he gonna do?
It's a fine gamble by the Dolphins, and they have excellent receivers. So this is just kind of a drop in the bucket, in my opinion. Bonner
Yeah,
Buzzy, really, really like the Steelers draft. I couldn't agree with you more, Bonner. We will get to it.
yeah,
We'll
they
talk
did well.
all about the Steelers draft in our draft segment today, but we have a couple more headlines to get to. Let's keep ripping through
49ers
these.
faithful, shout out as well.
Bang bang
You
Niner
in the chat.
gang. We love it. Chase
I
Claypool.
assume you got an opinion on this one.
Yeah, thank you. Opening the floor, as anybody who knows me knows, I'm Bills Mafia through and through. Let me expose the bathrobe here.
Love
I
it.
got my Josh Allen cereal box. That's what I named my team after in one of our dynasty
Is
leagues
that what
recently.
that is? I
Josh
was
Jacks.
wondering what that was. He's
Josh
got his own
Jacks.
cereal.
He's got his own cereal. Yeah, in upstate New York. Yeah, I got every box in my studio.
That's amazing.
Nerd, complete nerd.
Love it.
Anyways, Chase Claypool signing with the Buffalo Bills. It's cool. Whatever. Again, just like Odell, too inconsequential to really have an opinion on. There's a lot made of the Bills wide receiver class right now, and they didn't get a guy at 28. We'll talk about the 28 to 32 to 33 move ad nauseum, I'm sure. But in the meantime, I don't think this moves the needle. I doubt he makes the team. If he makes the team and recaptures any of that former second round pick getting traded for Magic, baller for the Steelers, great. I'll be elated. I'll be the first to have a party when if Claypool is good. But they also, in the same breath, they signed Dwayne Smoot. They signed Deion Jones. So some edge depth and some linebacker depth. Considering we called AJ Klein in to start in a playoff game when he was packing up his minivan to go on vacation with his family, linebacker depth is the first thing that I'm looking for the Bills to address this offseason. Milano coming back from a broken leg.
I just love
Terrell
Milan.
Bernard coming back from a ankle injury in the playoffs. We did pick up Nick Moreau. We drafted a couple guys. I'm elated to see the Bills taking their linebacker depth seriously. That makes me very happy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Last one. Last headline that's hit the draft because we're allowed to get to.
Ooh, and this is
This one's
tough
rough.
news. You're breaking this. Actually, I wasn't even aware of this, but the Chiefs
Uh,
are apparently expecting a significant suspension for wide receiver Rashee Rice. We've talked about what he experienced, what he did. Also, ad nauseum, you and I on the human side, we always empathize with players, especially dudes who make mistakes. It's very sad, but this is significant. Adrian, talk to me about
So
this.
so they're expecting at least half a season, so 8 games, which is rough. Rice, as everyone would probably know, is top receiver last year for the Chiefs. I know they've addressed that position a little bit now. But he went for 938 yards, 7 touchdowns. And so Ian Rappaport, Ian Schefter,
Ian
um,
Schefter.
yeah, he also expected a lengthy suspension, but he said that the legal delays could move it to 2025. So there's a chance it may not affect the Chiefs this year, but there is also a chance it may end up with half a season of suspension, which is rough because he's a promising player. We all love Rashid Rice here. If he was on a bit different team, we'd love him even more.
Yeah, 100%. Hate the Chiefs, but you gotta give it up for the talent. He was phenomenal last year. Great performance down the stretch. Solid contributor in the playoffs. Got to give it up for Rice. Hope they can get him back in a reasonable time. I don't really think Xavier Worthy is a 1-for-1 swap of Rice, so I don't think that this is like
Well,
he
I think
such
I,
differing skill sets that I don't really think that that's going to offset the loss of Rice.
I agree, and I think look, you took Hollywood Brown, who has kind of a crossover skill set with Xavier Worthy. You would hope Xavier Worthy can kind of win out that sort
Yeah,
of deep threat in the long run, because that's if when you sort of look at Xavier Worthy, that combine the 40-yard dash time brought him up probably into the first round. Otherwise, he
yeah.
was the first rounder.
But
Um,
Hollywood did get a bag from them, bro.
Yeah, and so like I look, I didn't know about the Hollywood Brown, but it's the same narrative we say every year. I didn't know about MVS. Like it's just you put them on the Chiefs, and all of a sudden they produce, even if it's just in the playoffs. Like they've just they're in a rare situation. There's only two or three teams that could probably say this with it, and they're at the top of that list where your quarterback is so unbelievably good that it doesn't matter who you bring in, they're made better. They're elevated to a level that they would never get
It's
on another
true.
team.
It's true. And MVS
Your
is a
Bills are
weird.
another one of those teams.
I would like to think so, maybe. I the whole MVS thing. I mean, it's rare. This is what I'll say about Kansas City, and we'll also get into this when we talk about the draft. They are not infallible when it comes to mining prospects. They've had their flaws. They've swung and
Mm.
missed. Sky Moore is a big one. They emptied the clip for MVS as well. So for them to lose one of their guys that they actually hit on, uh, definitely going to be dicey for them when it comes to the season. I think they'll be fine because they're the Chiefs and Mahomes will figure it out and he'll put the team on his back. And Kelsey just signed a big extension, so congrats to him and they'll keep doing what they do. But I think we can't underplay the significance of losing a weapon like Rice.
Love that comment. Title maximum NFL going low carb, cutting the rice.
Yeah, that's solid.
um,
Solid. We love a good pun.
yeah, and Zay Jones, yeah, that'd be a good option. Like, I mean, he's been released by the Jags
Jags.
again,
Yep.
7:30 in the morning. But he'd be a good option, I think, to sort of come in the short term. But like you said, it is tough, and it's that Patrick Mahomes is going to make it work.
100%.
Like, I
We all
hate
know
it.
it. Like we all know
They
it.
they're really one of one in that aspect, like, as
Yes.
in the Chiefs are one of one in that aspect. It doesn't matter who they have. It really doesn't.
Yep, they're going to be there when the chips are down. They're going to probably win the West, and they're probably going to compete big down the stretch. So, really looking forward to seeing how they scrap and claw, but they will.
Yeah.
We don't, that they're like Thanos. They're inevitable. We all know it.
Is
All
it time?
right, I think it might be time, man. And this is
Alright,
going to
go
be
on.
such a fun show because we're draft junkies. We talked about having draft fever. I was stricken by my draft fever for days after the draft even. So I think there's a lot of different ways we could go about this. I love the idea of going through each team, listing off their draft class, quick hits. We could set timers if you want to make sure that this podcast doesn't get crazy long. We could try to do want to try to do like 2 minutes a team. Do you think
Let's
that's
do it.
want to do that and just talk about everybody?
Wait, we build the plans, we fly it.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
that's
Doesn't work,
fine.
we'll change it.
And if we figure out that it's that might not be enough time, but anyways, I'm ready to dive in if you are.
Let's hit it. Do you want me to pick the teams and kick off I can run through the draft class and then we can, or do you want to take it
I
away?
have I have the players listed in alphabetical order. We
Oh,
could
lay it on
we could
me.
just
Love
we
that.
could we could just or not the players listed in alphabetical order. The teams listed in alphabetical order. I could just name off every player and then we could if I would say you should probably get this list too. Do you want me to link you? I can link you.
I've got a very similar list, so let's do
Okay,
it.
cool. So if you just go in alphabetical, I'll read off the picks. You give your quick hits. We'll have a conversation. Vice versa. We'll swap teams. Who talks first?
Love
Uh,
it.
starting with the Arizona Cardinals. You got a timer for me?
Yep.
Tell,
I don't know if I've got an actual timer. I'm just gonna go off our timer.
do you want me to? I can just time it on my phone.
No, but we've got a timer on the screen here, as in on our screen.
I see. I see. Okay, you ready for this? You ready?
Lay it on me. Go.
All right. So Arizona Cardinals drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4th overall, Darius Robinson, Max Melton, Trey Benson, Isaiah Adams, Tip Remain, Elijah Jones, Dadrian Taylor Demerson, Xavier Thomas, Christian Jones, Tejuan Palmer, and Jaden Davis. Adrian, what jumps out to you about that draft class for the Cardinals?
Well, a lot of people wanted him to trade back, but then I think that look, obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is the one that jumps off the page there. The problem with the Cardinals, and I said this at the start, they should have traded back. I think because people love their class, right? As in they're saying the class hit quite well, but they had so many needs, You get that you get Chop Robinson in, who is absolutely a great prospect, but his project, like he's not, he's no Jared
Darius
Verse.
Robinson. There's two Robinson edges
Ah,
going in the
well then
first
that
round. I know,
I still
confusing.
I still stand by what I've said that the Robinson that they picked is no like he was no Lea Talatu, he was no
Yeah,
Dallas Turner. So
yeah,
you get a guy who comes in who's going to need work. He's not going to do the same way that one of those premium edge rushers would have got. Marvin Harrison, obviously amazing. Can't talk enough about him, and there's not much to be said. But they needed that weapon. Um, they addressed their cornerback need in the second round. So look, they hit their needs early, which is great. But
yeah.
the problem with the Cardinals is they had so many needs.
Yeah, I'll say this: you can never go wrong taking the best wide receiver in the draft when you have your quarterback already figured out, when your line is decent. So I'm not mad at grabbing Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. He's a blue chip, once in a generation prospect. I think he's going to do excellent things. Yes, a project in Darius Robinson at edge, but some other solid names on this list. Trey Benson, I think, is going to contribute, maybe be the succession plan to James Conner.
I see
Um,
that. That's what I've said.
Yep, I'm not at all mad at their draft class. I don't think we should give grades, but if I were to give a grade, I'd probably go high B to
Yeah,
low A.
people are looking at that, and that is 2 minutes on the
Oh, that's
dot.
great. Look at us. Okay, that's a
Um,
solid way to know. So, do you want to do the same thing with the Falcons now?
take it. Falcons, yeah, let's do it.
Am I listening or are you listening?
Oh, I'll go. Yeah, I'll go through it. Okay,
Yep,
cool.
let it rip.
Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. Watt in the first round. Rook Orhorhoro. That is a
Mhm.
hard name to say. Braylon Trice, Braden Dawless, JD Bertrand, Jace McClellan, Casey Washington, Zion Logu. Hard names in that class. Take it
Yeah,
away.
right, dude. In every class, really. So I'll just come right out and say what everybody's thinking. What the actual H are they doing with the Penix thing? I mean, I think they tried to outsmart the NFL. This is the classic case of trying to be a couple steps ahead, and you end up. There's like a phrase for it that I can't think of off the top of my head. Maybe you can help me. It's like they played themselves, really, realistically. I mean,
Yeah,
like they really thought
DJ
that
Khaled did it.
they really thought they did something, and they straight up did it. Like you had Kirk Cousins, you had a chance to add a blue chip prospect, you could have boosted the defense, you could have grabbed an offensive lineman, you went for a quarterback that was a project anyway. You could have traded back to 25 and taken Penix. Well, probably not. You probably would have had to stay ahead of the Raiders realistically, but yeah, I just obviously I hate that pick. They're going to get a lot of shade for it. I don't have to, I mean, at first I was like, oh, maybe, oh, I see that with the no, that
Yeah.
there's so much bad. The rest of their class, no names really jump out to me, so I'm not overly impressed with any of it. I think this is maybe a low C to D range draft.
Yeah, not a fan of the draft. You saw him trying to explain to GM Terry Fontenot, like, sorry, trying to explain to the owner that like what the hell was that pick? They needed edge help. They haven't had a double digit sacker since 2016. So, good on them for addressing it later. But you could have got a premium one up front. And I think we're right on time.
Excellent, excellent,
That is
excellent.
2 minutes feels fast.
Yeah, it does feel fast, but we got, if we're gonna get through 32 teams, we gotta rip, right?
Yeah.
That's our
All
only
right, hit it.
option. All right, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are just so stellar at sticking and picking and grabbing value in drafts. We're looking at Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Roger Rosengarten, tackle, Adisa Isaac, linebacker, Devontae Walker, who I'm really excited about in that offense, TJ Tampa, Rasheen Ali, Devin Leary, Nick Samak, and Sanusi Kane. Adrian, what's jumping off the page to you?
I mean, they when in our mock draft we talked about the Ravens. I can't remember who we picked in their mock draft, but and you said it's such a Ravensy pick because they just stick and they take quality and they take what is the best available. Nate Wiggins is awesome as a cornerback, one of the fastest ones on there. They obviously they said goodbye to a couple players in the off season, so they needed a new tackle to take over Moses. They took him in second round. They needed Patrick Quinn's replacement. They took him in the third round. Devontae Walker, so they need some wide receiver help. Wide receiver help, but it was such a deep class that you didn't want them taking that in their first round. And I think their other needs are bigger, especially with Lamar Jackson there. They need to shore up that line. So I really like this class. I think they did well. I don't. It doesn't blow like doesn't jump off the tape, but sorry, it doesn't jump off the tape. But yeah, like I'm happy with it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it jumps. I think the Nate Wiggins pick at 30. Like I think teams were looking at him in the mid-teens. Like
Yeah,
he's a really really good player. And he went. He's a it's Ravens culture. Great defense, great coaching, run the football. I love the Nate Wiggins pick. I'm excited about Devontae Walker. I think he could have the potential to jump into that top 3 on that team because that wide receiver depth chart is kind of a bit murky to me. I think him, Rashad Bateman, and Zay Flowers could be a great young trio. I don't love Rashad Bateman anymore, but they just signed him, so
yeah,
obviously they do. So those picks really are jumping out to me more than the other ones. I got to give them a B plus again, just like the Cardinals. I think they did a great job.
yeah. I'll give him that. I'm gonna start timing on my phone because I can't keep up with the running timer. So
You're
let's just
doing
buzz it there.
it. You're doing a great job. You know what we could do, big guy. You honestly could probably let this Bills one rip. You might as well do like a 5-minute timer here because I think I'm gonna have some. I
All right. Let me read it out, and then you just take it around. I'm not even going to time it. You just
let's go.
let's
I
talk
because I
freely.
want to. Yeah, I got to talk about this
This is our therapy. Other people go to
big
psychiatrists.
time. We
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 do
have
it
a
here.
podcast. Yeah.
All right. Keon Coleman in the second round. Cole Bishop, Dwayne Carter, Ray Davis, Cedric Van Pran, Gat Granger, Edouard Ulofosio, Javon Solomon, Tylen Grable, Daquan Hardy, Travis Clayton. I think I did okay with some of those names.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you what. To prevent us from being labeled as complete homers, which happens all the time. Actually, not really. People are pretty respectful of our homerism. I think. I think we have a really supportive fan base. Adrian,
Yeah.
tell me what you think about this draft class.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, I think that I love Mr. Brendan Bean. So
Yes,
with
big baller
to
bean.
not to not be I think I consider myself a sneaky Bills fan because of you. Like but and I that happens with certain
Back
friends of
at
mine.
you.
Like
Back at you.
yeah.
I root for the Packers for you.
So Keon Coleman, I like the pick. Like he was on a lot of people's boards for the first round. I think anyway. So you take him at 33. I don't know if he's going to be like similar to what we're sort of saying in the pre-show. Like, is he the savior? I don't know. Probably not. Um, Cole Bishop comes in. Who was your safety you lost? Jordan Poyer.
We lost Poyer and Hyde hasn't
Yeah,
re-signed. There's speculation he's going to retire.
yeah. So he needed a safety. So I like the idea. Brendan Bean trades back, gets value, gets what he can at the time to fit what you want. No other names on there are jumping off to me as like someone that I think is.
Yeah.
So I would give it. I would say it's not an A plus or A kind of draft in my opinion, but I think it's a B.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly adequate grade. I can't argue with you. I'd like to talk about Armand's point here. I would have liked it if they didn't trade down with the Chiefs. Armand, I'm gonna assume I'm gonna project my frustrations with that opinion onto you, so I apologize. Because it's trust me, it's all that sports talk has been. K bomb. I don't know if that's already a thing, but we're gonna try it. I'm dropping a K bomb. He drops A bombs. I'm dropping a K bomb.
Do
Uh,
it.
so if the Bills weren't going to take Worthy at 28, and Kansas City wanted to come up to 28 from 32, and the Bills weren't going to take Worthy anyway, who the hell cares that they traded down to 32 with the Chiefs? I understand everybody has the little brother mentality. Oh, you can't give them weapons, yada yada. If the Bills were going to pick Coleman at 28 and they picked up extra picks to move down 4 picks and then more extra picks to move down into the second round and got the same guy they would have picked at 28, but they got to stockpile their assets, why do we care? Just because it's the Chiefs and because they've been beating us up for the last couple of years? I
It's the only
under
reason though.
but that's fear. You can't if you run your team with a fear-based mindset, if you live in fear, you're not living. You can't live that way, you know?
Life
Everybody
lessons.
everybody judges the Bills for moving down from 10 to in the Mahomes draft when the Chiefs drafted Mahomes. That was originally the Bills pick. That's a big talking point. But you don't end up with Tre'Davious White, Josh Allen, and Tremaine Edmonds if you don't do that. And obviously, I've said a million times, I wouldn't trade Josh Allen for Pat Mahomes straight up, even though I think Mahomes is the better QB. I think Josh is the QB for Buffalo. Josh is our guy. I don't think any Bills fan would trade Josh Allen for anything. So I don't think you can live with that mindset. I think it's small-minded to look at it in that way, that because we let them come up and get Worthy, we somehow handed them Worthy as though they couldn't just move up to 29 and get him then.
I think he would have been there at 32. I'm just going to say it. Yeah, like you could say the Ravens might want the one wide receiver help. I know they took Ricky Pearsall at the Niners, who I love Ricky Pearsall, and
Yeah,
I
he's
think he was
great.
better than I think he's better than Worthy. So if you want
Yeah,
my opinion, I think Worthy was there anyway. So if by letting them come to 28, this is my humble opinion, you're not helping them because they're getting
yeah.
a player good anyway, and they lost draft capital.
Yeah,
So
you
I'm sorry.
weakened their cupboard for sure. I'm a fan of the move, and emotionally I understand why people are frustrated. I'm look. This is just my opinion. That's what we do as podcasters. We just come on, we share our opinion. You, can, I'm never going to tell somebody how to fan. You can be mad that they traded with your rivals, who's sent you home 3 out of the last 4 years. I'm not. That's fine. I don't agree. I'm not mad. It is what it is. Keon Coleman was not the top name on my list at 28, at 32, or at 33. There was a handful of guys I liked better. When the Bills didn't move all the way up for a big fish, I was going to be sad. That's what I did in our mock. That's what I wanted to happen. But they did the
Who'd you want?
responsible thing.
Who'd you want at 33?
I, I was very into the idea of Lad McConkey.
Yeah, same. I love that.
I was very into the idea of Lad McConkey or a player like that. I think there was a couple other guys. AD Mitchell would have been cool.
Mhm.
But you know what? I've fallen in love with Keon Coleman, the person. I don't know if you've seen the hilarious interview clips. He's got personality for days.
I haven't,
Um,
but I love that.
oh yeah, I'll send you some clips, man. He's so funny. I think he's going to be the X. I don't think he's a 1-for-1 Stephon Diggs replacement. People are saying he profiles more like Gabe Davis. I don't really think he's going to be like either. I think Joe Brady is doing an entirely new thing with the Bills offense. I don't think their receiving core is as weak as people think. I think Curtis Samuel is better than people think. I think they are higher on Mac Hollins than people think they are. And I love Khalil Shakir personally. I'm so excited that he's gonna have a big target share.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
In
Adrian and I,
inside joke.
we did a dino trade because I really wanted Shakir on my team. But getting that, I got granular with the receivers, so I apologize for that. But I think Cole Bishop is a starting safety in this defense. Dwayne Carter was a lot of people's DT2, so to get him in the third round is huge. Ray Davis has potential as like a power back type player, like sort of replacing the Latavius Murray role. I'm a Ty Johnson fan, so I hope he doesn't cut into Ty Johnson's work, but we'll see. I think this is a solid grade. Yeah, B is a great grade for it. I might go B minus just because you didn't take any big bites at the apple. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
it's
fair.
it's a bit of a safe draft. It's a bit of a depth building, younger, cheaper draft, and I think that's totally fine. Great.
I'll
Go ahead. I don't want to talk too much. I think that was like maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
I didn't start the
We
timer.
did good. We did good. It was
I would just
fell
say
short of
that
a rant, I would say.
I think people throw around the word rebuild, which I don't agree with, and I know you don't, and I know it fires you up a little bit. But I think you could look at this as a soft rebuild where they've pulled out some pieces, put in some new ones. It's not a rebuild because you're Josh Allen and you're always going for that. The window's open, whether people like it.
It's a retooling.
Yeah, but actually, it's a great way to put it, retooling. And I think
Yeah.
that this draft addressed it to some extent, but you're right. They could have maybe jumped up and grabbed, like if they got an Adunze, like you would be jumping through the screen right now. So
If they had gotten a Dunze, I know it would have mortgaged their future, but it would have put them back in the conversation for top Super Bowl contenders of this year.
yeah,
I don't
I
think
agree.
they belong in the conversation with the top 3 or 4 contenders. I think they'll always be right there. I think they'll always be the Chiefs and them in the AFC. Bengals, Texans are biting at the heels right now, but I think that's who you got to look at right now as the Ravens too. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can buzz that. That's a good place to wrap it up. I will get to the Panthers now. I'll list off the class and you can tell me your thoughts. Xavier Leggett, they came up to 32. They traded with Buffalo, moved up one spot to get their guy. Another guy like Keon Coleman, personality for days. One of the funniest. You got to watch the clips of Xavier Leggett. He's got one of the craziest accents I've ever heard. Jonathan Brooks, stud. A lot of people had him as their RB1. First running back drafted. Great pick there. Trevin Wallace, Jatavian Sanders, another stud. Chow Smith Wade, Jaden Crumedy. That's a fun name. And Michael Barrett. Adrian, what jumps out at you about this draft class?
Yeah, so I really like what the Panthers did here because here's the thing: it's easy to kind of look back and you say, okay, well, Bryce Young's a bust, and it's like, dude, it's his first year. Now I understand he's not Caleb Williams, I do get that, but he is like you never. the Bears got very lucky that the Panthers were this bad, but they had nothing in the cupboard was empty last year. They were eating dust. So they're going out. They go get Leggett. I like that they jumped up for him. We talked about Leggett as a legit receiver. Jonathan Brooks, you're right, as a running back, could be a superstar. Could be in that. Like the running back class was not great, but if there's one that jumped off the page, it's Jonathan Brooks. Particularly with Dave Canales as your offensive coordinator. So I think, and then Jatavian Sanders, look, is Tracy dude. I like Jatavian Sanders as well. The only thing I'll say, look, they needed some edge help. They didn't really address that here. They took Jaden Crumedy at the end. Trevor Wallace can get up there and rush the passer as well, but just needed some edge help. That's the only thing I'll fault them on. But other than that, I like what they did here, considering they didn't have a number one pick until they traded up for. Muted, muted.
All right, so a couple of things. First of all, Armand, I hope you're not mad at me that I ranted at you. I still love you. You're the GOAT. He hasn't responded in the comments after I added him in my last rant. Yeah, Titan Maximum, nice couple of little comments about the Bills. Appreciate you. I think Titan Maximum is plugged in. Yeah, I think he's the kind of listener we've come to expect from legit football. He's real football guys listen to this podcast. So shout out to I am not mad. The only thing that's missing is a period. I swear to God, that's so funny.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, retooling is exactly the word. Shout out Uncle Mello's back. Nice Knicks jacket. How about that? How about that dub last night, Uncle Mello? I know you saw it. He predicted Bo Nix was going to be the guy, and they got Bo Nix.
We'll get to that.
Fun stuff. Yeah, we will. Yeah, go Nuggets. I agree. I'd love to face y'all in the finals. Let's get it. Yeah, the Panthers had to go all in for Bryce Young in this draft. They need to find out if he can play, and they kind of sort of did a little bit. The Panthers are doing like a Caleb Williams light. Like they're isolating the variable a little bit, not quite to the level the Bears have with Caleb, but they're doing a good job, I think.
I agree.
I like the draft class. Leggett's awesome. Brooks is awesome. Sanders is awesome. If these other pieces, if they get one hit on the defensive side of the ball and they're a little bit better, if they can take their worst team in the league to like, bottom 5, bottom 7 team in the league, and Bryce Young takes a step, this year could be considered a success, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. You got the best. I'll go through this as a quick one.
Yeah, absolutely. Steam coming from Armand's head, and also appreciate you. I thank you for opening your mind and seeing it that way. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. All right, go ahead, buddy.
And I know this is super unprofessional of us because you know what, Kevin and I, we love each other. We're just dudes, and we're in the middle of a draft right now. And Curtis Samuel just went off the board. I'm just letting you know. Don't know who got him.
Who?
Don't know who got him. But I was surprised he's still there because we're in at the 19th or 18th round. Anyway,
I'm so angry.
All right.
It'll ruin my day, dude.
Yeah, sorry about that. I took Shakir and then shrewdly traded him back to Kevin. It was a move that has been lauded as the Howie Roseman of our draft.
He's a snake, people. He's a snake.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's get it. Start the timer. So we've got Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, Kiran Amagadiji, Torrey Taylor, Austin Booker. That's it.
Short and sweet. They didn't need a lot. They weren't the worst team in the league. They were the 9th worst team in the league. So for them to have the first overall pick is such a blessing. To go out there and get a generational talent like Caleb Williams, who you all know I'm rooting for heavily. Big fan of his game. Big fan of his shtick. I'm all about it. I know you've kind of said you think that you could see a world where it doesn't work out. I understand that. I see the red flags that people see. I just am inclined to think that the situation is just going to overcome the shortcomings. I think the situation is solid enough that it will generate a positive outcome. When I heard Roma Dunze's name at 9, a tear did come to my face because I wanted Buffalo to move up for him so badly. This is a prospect I fell in love with the most this year. They got a stud. I think this is a bad landing spot for him because I think DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are going to, and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift, I think they'll all command a lot of targets. I think Dunze will be his ceiling is lower than it was in another offense, at least until some of the names clear out. But it's a solid class, short, sweet, concise. They got the guys they wanted. I don't think you can do anything but give this draft an A- to an A.
Yeah. Look, the only thing I'll fault them on, they took a punter. They had 4 picks and then
So
they
stupid.
got a fifth. I don't know about that. Look, I'm not saying because I know punters can change a game, so
Yeah,
don't get on me about that. But
big time.
I, that's the only thing I'll say. And I just the thing with this and I'm just watching the time. The thing with this is I feel like the Bears have historically not done well in this, and I want Caleb Williams because I love good football. Sure, I don't want them to beat the Packers, but I want it to be Caleb Williams. I don't want it to be Johnny Manziel. But there's just like something about the Bears that scares me.
Yeah, that's fair. No, and it's proven to be true time and time.
I just want to take them.
I'm not mad at it. Yeah. So the Bengals are the next team we're going to talk about. We're looking at Amarius Mims in the first, Chris Jenkins, Jermaine Burton, McKinley Jackson, Eric All, Josh Newton, Tanner McLaughlin, Cedric Johnson, Dejan Anthony, and Matt Lee. Adrian, what is jumping off of the screen to you?
You know what? I'm gonna say that I didn't love the Bengals draft. Amarius Mims feels like a bit of a reach for me. And I mean, the thing is, all right. So the Amarius Mims was like one of those players where some people loved him and they loved him and they thought he was awesome. But they just he didn't have enough. He had 8 career starts like at Georgia, so he didn't have the experience and he doesn't have the tape. And to me, having like one productive year, and they've kind of there's a statistic on this, and I'll have to find them for the next show because it is excellent about looking at one productive year. So, sometimes we get players, Jaden Daniels is another example where their most recent year is fantastic. So they jump up the board.
Yeah.
It is less predictive of success than I'm not talking about like obviously having 3 years of unbelievable production. But if you have 1 year of up here and 3 years down here, it is more predictive of success in the NFL. I
Yeah.
don't have the actual stat, but I'll think of it. So to me, and all this to say, I just don't know about Amarius Mims as your first pick. They shored up the lines. They took a wide receiver where I don't think they needed to. I understand T. Higgins will be out the door at the end of this year. So I don't know if I love this draft for those reasons.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Jermaine Burton is a stud. And to get him in the third round and to pair him with Joe Burrow, I'm terrified as a Bills fan, as a self-proclaimed,
You know
unfortunately,
you
I'm
can't say the
sorry.
word terrify.
I know. I'm a
I am
literally, bro. Self-proclaimed Bengals hater. I don't love seeing Jermaine Burton wearing orange and black. But you know what? I like the Mims pick. You got to take a swing for a franchise left tackle when you have Joe Burrow and he's been banged up his whole career because you haven't given him a good line. Chris Jenkins is good. Eric All is a lot of people are falling in love with him in fantasy football circles. Yeah, I think like mid B to like low B because of the red flag prospects, but I like the class. I like the class a lot. Yeah, I'm pretty in on it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't buzz myself right on time though. Okay, let's get it. I'm
Cleveland.
gonna
So
put
I'm listing the Cleveland class, correct? Or is that you?
no, I'm listening.
Okay.
So, and you're talking. So, Michael Hall Jr., Zach Zinter, Jamari Thrash, Nathaniel Watson, Miles Harden, Jawan Briggs.
And I'll say this: the Browns have done a great job being great without being sexy. And they really thought, like we talked about when we roasted the Falcons, they really thought they ate when they brought in Watson, and it's just turned into the biggest crap show, family show in maybe in NFL history, sort of like on the level of the Russell Wilson trade. Obviously, it hasn't impacted their team success as much as Russell Wilson did, but it's looking like a failed experiment thus far. So this draft to me just screams everything that I just said about the Browns. It's not sexy at all. None of these
It
names
really isn't.
none of these names are particularly jumping out to me, and they have what, a second, a third, a fifth, a sixth, and 2/7. There's 6 names there, but their first pick wasn't until the 54th pick in the draft. So not
And that's the thing. You
yeah.
can't be. How good can you really be when you're starting at 54? You can address a couple of holes, which they did need a tackle. Didn't start the timer. They're
And
still
they
terrible
might
scab producing.
they're good, dude. And you know what? And they might still be good despite not being sexy. That's what they've done. Michael Hall could be a solid piece. Zach Zinter could be a solid piece. Jamari Thrash is the name that I like the most. I'm a big fan of Jamari Thrash. I think he's going to be, if Watson can put it together, oh my God, I have no faith that he will.
Yeah, it's zero.
I'm so out on the Browns until they rip that scab off.
Well, they're finally done with the trade now. So this is the last year the trade's affecting them. His
Yeah.
contract continues to affect them, but the trade capital they gave up is now done.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So anyways,
Can we just call out there is no way
Yeah,
we're getting
we're good to go.
all 22s? Yeah.
We're good. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's keep it moving.
Let's roll.
I'll list off Dallas. We're looking at Tyler Guyton, Marshawn Nealand, Cooper Beebe.
Adam,
Um, say again.
you're on. Oh, so wait, did you say Dallas? Sorry.
Dallas. Yep.
I was looking at Denver.
Uh,
Sorry, go.
Kalen Carson, Marist Liafau, Ryan Flournoy, Nathan Thomas, and Justin Rogers. Adrian, how are we feeling about this draft class?
Yeah, look, it's again, it's not too bad. It's funny because most teams are going to get you sort of B's, B pluses, that sort of thing. I like what they did. Tyler Guyton, love him as a tackle. He was a good prospect. Marshawn Neal, another good prospect to get him sort of in the late in the seconds as an edge. It was good. They shored up their lines. They needed a wide receiver again. They always need a wide receiver. I know they've got CeeDee Lamb, who's a super duper star, and I
Yeah,
understand that, but he himself, and I heard him say this in myself when I was listening to on a podcast once. Every team that is going to be contending for the Super Bowl has two stars, or they
it's
have
true.
one star and one star minus. Like, and I mean, Cooks is not going to be your star minus at this point. He could have been at one point. So I guess I like what they did. I think they did need to shore up their line. They're getting an edge defender. I mean, when you got Micah Parsons, you want to take some. He's always going to be double, triple teamed. So I think it was a smart move. I don't know. Nothing actually, can I just say, similar to the Browns, nothing jumps off here except for Tyler Guyton, who I did like a
Yeah,
lot this week.
great pick in Tyler Guyton. Cooper Beebe's really good too. Marshawn Nealand, good edge. They did little things. I kind of think of this as similar to the Bills draft. They got marginally better by just being responsible. And I'm disappointed that they didn't draft a running back. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
Yeah.
I
And now
know
they've
they
got
really
Zeke.
liked Jonathan Brooks. Bringing back Zeke, I just think they should make a
Oh,
trade for somebody. Like they don't
did
have
you see
guys.
did you see Jerry Jones talking about Jonathan Brooks before they drafted
I
him?
did. Yeah,
What
and
an
they got to move up, man. Got to move up to get him. That's why the Panthers knew where they had to take him, man. They screwed up.
Can I say, just to anyone who didn't see that and didn't know, and I'm sorry because we're at 2 minutes, but I have to mention this. Jerry Jones went to a press conference and
Gushed.
said, "Yeah, gosh, like this is the in all my years in football, he's the number one interview I've ever done. A fantastic prospect." And so what happens? Of course, the Panthers tried up to get him because they know you're going to take him. He
Right.
had his, I'm sure, his son on there kind of joked, "Is like, why don't you just give him the whole board?" And it's like he made a big mistake there,
Big time.
and that cost him Jonathan Brooks. And now Zeke Elliott is your RB1. Without
Not
him.
that situation is yucky. I think they should make a trade, but we'll see what happens. Mr. Adrian, Denver Broncos,
Denver Broncos. Okay, let me restart timer.
Uncle Melo's
Uh,
team.
Bo Nix, Jonah Ellis, Troy Franklin, Chris Abrem Drains, Audric Estime, Devon Vele, Nick Gargiulo.
I gotta give them their marks, man. I look, people say what they want to say about Bo Nix, but it's the guy they wanted. It's their guy. Whether or
Was it?
not,
You reckon? I mean, Sean Payton gushed about
at
him.
least to a certain degree, right? Like I don't think they wanted Penix. I think they would have taken Nix over Penix if they had the chance. And I don't, I mean, they probably wanted somebody in the top 3 or McCarthy even, but you know what? They got Bo Nix, and they probably figured they would get Bo Nix. They didn't have to move up to get him, or not far, right? Did they? No, they didn't move up, did they?
No, they didn't move up
Good
now.
for them. I love Troy Franklin, college teammate of Bo Nix. They already have a rapport. He's a good player. I can't believe he fell to the 4th round. Absolutely ridiculous. Audric Estime is an excellent player. I've been watching Notre Dame. I've been watching him at Notre Dame for years. He's an amazing runner. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns. If they make him their goal line guy, he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. I think this is a home run draft, despite the fact that Bo Nix has question marks. I think I have to give this draft a B plus because they got their guy, even though Bo Nix might not be the best.
See, I mean, I think he went a lot sooner than a lot of people expected him to go. Sean Payton is talking it up, as of course he's going to be because it's his pick.
Yeah,
But this was his estimation of Bo Nix. He said that he wanted Patrick Mahomes back in the Patrick Mahomes draft, and he got told he could, or basically got forced out of that pick by, I don't know if it was GM or owner or whatever it was. He feels stronger about Bo Nix now than he felt about Patrick Mahomes then. That was his words. But I don't trust anything Sean Payton says either. So he could have
he's
just as
hard to
easily
trust.
trust.
He's
Yeah.
hard to trust. He's
He
burned
might
us.
have been was he one of the teams that contacted the Chargers? I can't remember. I don't think Zach said of the Capital. So I don't know if I believe him in all of that. I don't love the class. Everything else you said was great. I just don't know about Bo Nix, but I also appreciate that you couldn't let him go to the second round because he'd be gone.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great draft. I'm impressed. Melo gives it an A+. Loves the completion percentage for Knicks. I ain't mad at it. Mr. Adrian, let's chat about those Detroit Lions. Am I listening?
You're listening.
Terrion
Um,
Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. That's two solid corners right off the rip. Kind of crazy. Giovanni Manu, Sion Vaki, Makai Wingo, and Christian Mahogany. Great names in this class.
mm.
Talk to me.
um, I mean, look, I have to talk about their first pick here, and I have to. This is a personal because Kevin Fox knows I was in our X group chat at pick 23, saying, "Holy family show, bleep, is Terry Arnold about to be available at 25?" I couldn't believe it because he's like a lot of people called him number one.
Yep.
You know, Kenyon Mitchell, Terry Arnold kind of jumped between. I said in this, I love Cooper DeJean, and he was available in the Packers pass. Don't get me started.
That's
Um,
who I wanted at 33. I remember now. That's who I wanted at
um,
33.
yeah, love Cooper DeJean. So Detroit come in, they trade ahead because I think if Arnold was there, the Packers are pulling the trigger. That is an unbelievably valuable pick. And so they jump ahead, they get him, and then they take a cornerback in the second, which is Ennis Rextra Jr., also a good prospect. So like
Solid.
they, for what was a pretty questionable secondary now, through free agency signings and through the draft, Detroit Lions have really shored that up. So I mean, I think they actually have had a good draft. And the Lions, and I did mention in the biop, or I don't know what the word is, a synopsis for this show, that we might have a familiar face. We might have had our old faithful producer Anthony Werner back, who would have been all
He'll be
over this
back.
draft.
He'll be back.
Yeah, and I will say that the Lions they're no longer a joke that they used to be, and this is just like their draft is exactly what they needed. They got value at the picks that they got, so I would give these guys a B plus. I'd even push towards an A.
Yeah, I'm impressed, man. I think it's an excellent draft. I mean, Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, those are two names that were towards the top of a lot of people's boards at that position. Rakestraw, they got him late. They got to wait on that. That's a value pick where they got him. It's an excellent draft, and that's what they needed most. You know, their defense was historically bad last year. Dan Campbell prides himself on kneecap biting. Well, they need to start doing that if they're gonna get back to the NFC Championship game. Which I told this to Anthony. Everybody says, and I don't mean to, this is gonna sound like I'm Debbie Downer. Everybody says, "Oh, they'll be back. They'll be back. They'll be back. They're young." Da, 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 da. We said that in 2020 when we went to the AFC Championship and lost to the Chiefs. Buffalo hasn't
You
been
never
back.
know. You never
Buffalo
know.
hasn't been back. It's been 4 years. You know, my Apple Watch, it tells me the years. It's been 4 since we've been in a freaking conference final. So
App Watch, like, have you been having a panic attack since 2020? Like,
literally, I mean, if I had an Apple Watch when 13 seconds happened, they would have pronounced me dead on the scene.
yeah.
That was sickening.
Dude, I didn't know you then, and I'm kind of glad because I don't know if I could handle that on your behalf.
Yeah, the empathy it would have broken you. I was pretty broken for you when the Packers lost to the Niners this year. They should have won that freaking game, dog.
You're right. They should have, but like they were never
They were never supposed to. 100%. Yeah.
that was a successful year. Anyway, we will get into that
Anyways,
later in the.
are you reading Green Bay or am I? I'll let
Yeah,
you.
why don't I read and you can give a snap, and then I'm gonna
Cool. Yeah. A lot
and
of names
people who are
here.
watching, yeah. Oh, they had a lot of picks.
Jeez.
Yeah, Goody was doing. He went to work. So, all right, Jordan Milgren, Edgar and Cooper, Javon Bullard, Marshawn Lloyd, Tyron Hopper, Evan Williams, Jacob Monk, Kitan Oladapu, Travis Glover, Michael Pratt, Kalen King.
Yeah.
You
So
tell me what you think.
what jumps off the screen to me is they're definitely supporting Jordan Love a great deal, in my opinion. I know a lot of their picks are defensive, but in the first round, you get a solid tackle. You go out and get Marshawn Lloyd, who is going to be, I'm guessing, the RB2 behind Josh Jacobs. I don't think is it AJ Dillon. Is he still around?
He's still around, yeah.
But
I think Marshawn Lloyd will take the 3 to start with, but I don't think that'll last long.
I think Lloyd will usurp Dillon quickly because he's a good player. Javon Bullard's an excellent safety. That's a starter right there. You mentioned wanting safety help or defensive back help. Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker. Yeah, I like this draft a lot. A lot of names. I think did they already pay Jordan Love, or are they on the verge of paying Jordan
Nah,
Love?
I think they're working through it. I think the deal will be done before the season starts.
You got to be young and cheap when you're losing that rookie QB deal, and that's what's happening, and that's why there's 15 freaking names on my board, and I love it. B
Yeah,
plus, B plus.
I'm really happy with this class. I mean, I wanted Cooper DeJean, don't get me wrong. Um, but they needed a tackle. They needed to replace Bakhtiari. They went and
Yep,
did that with Jordan Morgan.
yep.
They needed linebacker help. Edgar and Cooper will be across Quay Walker. That is a young and explosive linebacker group. Javon Bullard with Xavier McKinney. Their safety is set. They've got the look. I wanted a really top prospect quarterback. I'll be honest with you, but I look at you got Jay Alexander, you got Eric Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon as a kind of rotational player. You've got enough there, and they've got a scary secondary now with Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney. Marshawn Lloyd has said himself, "I was the best running back in the class," and I love that confidence.
I like it
I don't
too.
think it'll, I don't think it'll take long because and honestly, when they picked him, I did a bit more deeper looking into his tape, and I really, really like him. I don't think it'll take long. He's got a similar skill set to Josh Jacobs, so that'll be interesting. Like he's not really the pounder that AJ Dillon is, so who knows. The only other one I'll call out, and then look, everything else was kind of shoring up lines and hoping that you hit on a couple of them. Once you hit the fourth and fifth rounds, you're hoping to find the gem, but you're not always going. A lot of those players are not going to start. Michael Pratt, the QB that they took out of Tulane, had some really good production. I think he'll turn into a solid kind of backup. He might even turn into something we could trade away in the future. I listened to another podcast that will remain nameless because we only plug ourselves here. But they had a bet. They have a style of betting that they do, and they had a bet that Michael Pratt will outlive one of the top three QBs in the league as a starter.
Wow.
And I don't know if I don't know if I'd take that bet, but he's got some production and he's got some traits and he's got some skills. And I can't believe that he got him in the seventh round.
Yeah, he might end up going on to be Love's backup. I like it.
Yeah,
It's good class, man. You should be
I'm
happy.
happy. I'm
This
happy.
is this is the transition from will they, won't they, are they competitive? Is he the guy? Yada yada. To okay, let's tool up. Let's
You know
let's
what?
get
I'll
ready
make
for a
this
run.
point about this draft, right? And this is to anyone. If you're watching your team draft and you don't get so when I first started following the NFL, no matter who was on the team, I was like, oh, pick a wide receiver, pick a running back. Like you want weapons because they're the sexy picks. I feel like you're a real fan when you can be happy with an unsexy draft class and you
Yep.
just know, okay, plug in
Yep.
holes, get it. Like when they picked Jordan Morgan, I was happy. I mean, I
Yeah.
wanted him wrong, I wanted Cooper, but I think that's the sort of sign of as you start to mature as a fan, you start to be happy with these offensive line picks, defensive line picks. Oh, you get an off-ball linebacker, fantastic. Like,
It's the ultimate, and same with trading back. It's the ultimate responsible move.
yeah,
Investing in the trenches. I mean, the game is won and lost in the trenches. Nobody can debate that. Like that's just an absolute inherent truth.
agreed.
So, all the flashiness is awesome, but you're right. There's something to be said for an unsexy draft.
All right, let's move it on. I am happy though. So Houston Texans, your boys. So, oh wait, you're listing this, aren't you?
You know what? I'll list them, and yeah, they've formerly my boys. I think I'm not ready to let it go yet. Now that they're real competition to the Bills, I kind of hate them, and that they have Stephon Diggs. We'll see how we feel about it. But we're looking at Kamari Lassiter, the corner out of Georgia, Blake Fisher, Kalen Bullock, Cade Stover, Jamal Hill, Jawar Jordan, Solomon Byrd, Marcus Harris, Ladarius Henderson. Um, Adrian, what are your thoughts about this class?
Yeah, I mean, the Texans are doing something else. Like the Texans are really doing well here, and I think they've to the Texans who they were what 4 years ago, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago before Stroud and Ryan's got there. They're just doing the right thing. They're plugging their holes. They needed help in the secondary. Kamari Lassiter is a good cornerback. They didn't have a first round pick, so it's fine. They sent that off to the Vikings. Blake Fisher. This is the way I got told. Blake Fisher would be a first round pick next year. It was such a deep tackle class, but he's a great. They needed a tackle. They got a good tackle. Um, so I look. They moved up in round three. They took their safety, Kalen Bullock. So they're just shoring up. They're giving their defensive players because they've got enough going on offense, particularly now with your boy Stephon Diggs. So I like what they did here. Jamal Hill at Oregon. Liked him in the sixth round. That's pretty decent. And then the other picks. I mean, 3 7th round picks. I don't have much to say about them. You're on mute. It's them chips coming
Damn
in.
it. I know.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. I do really like the class. in general. It's along the lines of a Bills Packers draft where they already took the leap. They're already ascended. It's okay for them to start just tooling. And Lassiter's great, Bullock's great, Fisher's great. Responsible picks left and right. To be clear, I was speaking in haste. I still champion the Texans. I love CJ Stroud. I have some feelings, obviously, about the trade, but I like this. This is a solid. Once again, almost every team I noticed this is a very B heavy draft. I feel like every
It is.
team were safe and did some good things, and I like the drafts like the Bears where they go out on a limb and really try, like really, but they needed to swing, right? A lot of these teams don't need to swing.
It's something to say that like the only real, universally dumb pick was the Falcons taking Penix. Other than that, there wasn't nothing else that really jumped out to me as like that was a terrible pick.
Yeah. So the way I see it, bro, we got two more teams before we get to the halfway mark in the alphabet.
I think we're
Um,
three, aren't we? I was just counting
maybe
that.
three.
Great minds.
Yeah, right, right. Well, here, let me count. Look, so we got Cardinals, Falcons, Ravens, Bills, Panthers, Bears, Bengals, Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Lions, Packers. What is that? 12, right? Oh, you're right.
I think
13.
it's
So
the
three more. And
three
I think
more.
we should skip the Colts. And maybe I don't think we'll be able to get Jimmy on in a couple weeks, he said. We might as well just do the Colts.
Let's do the Colts. Yeah, you're right.
We have to, honestly. Like Jimmy said, it'll be a second before he's back. We miss Jimmy.
We do.
We do terribly. But Mr.
All right,
Adrian, I believe you're listening.
let's do it. All right. So you got Leatu Latu, AD Mitchell, Matt Conclaves, Tana Bortolini, sounds Italian, Anthony Gould, Jalen Carles, Jalen Simpson, Micah Abraham, Jonah Lalu.
Yeah, so what jumps off the screen, your boy, Latu, who you said was going to be the first edge. You were right. You called that, and I gave you a hard time
I'm
about it.
just saying it. He was.
I gave you a hard time about it, but he was the first edge off the board. Depending on medicals, he could end up being the steal of the draft at 15. I love it. AD Mitchell, a guy who a lot of people had going in the early or mid to late first, going late second, pretty crazy
Pick
slide.
52. Crazy.
Pretty crazy slide for him. We have other than those guys, those are the big names. I think again, a lot of offensive line, safety, corner. It's not sexy. I'm excited to hear Jimmy's thoughts. Maybe we'll ask him in between now and next week for his thoughts, and we can read that off on the show. Shout out to our mom, just breaking news like it's his job on first round picks who are signing. Titan Maximum thinks the Colts had a great draft. I mean, the top two picks are home runs of value.
Like the only thing I'll say, they needed
a
cornerback. Their secondary is pretty barren, and they took some safeties in the fifth round.
They addressed it so late, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only that's my only qualm with what's happened. Yeah, like I mean, I love Latu Latu. I think he was the best edge, and I'm glad that he got taken as the bishop. And if he does what everyone expects him to do, he's going to be amazing. And AD Mitchell was one of my guys in our guys. And my guys taking a sneaky hit when one of my guys got a running back got drafted to the Jets. But we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the class. I do like the class. Chris Ballard,
all right, let's keep it moving because we got two more teams to talk about now to make our halfway mark. So we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts here.
No, just
are you?
Colts.
Oh, sorry. Jacksonville Jaguars. Are you listening or am I listening?
You're listening.
Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ. Man, let me tell you, I wanted him in Buffalo. That one hurt as well. Mason Smith, Jarian Jones, Javon Foster, Jordan Jefferson, DeAndre Prince, Kylan Robinson, Cam Little, and Miles Cole.
Yeah, okay. So the Jaguars, to me, they lost Calvin Ridley. They wanted Calvin Ridley in the building. He was gone. They take Brian Thomas Jr., and they're one of the few teams that I will say. So outside of the big three receivers, one of the few teams that addressed a receiver help with the right fit receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. can do most of what Calvin Ridley can do. And people talked about Brian Thomas Jr. as the only tier 2 receiver in the draft, and then the rest were the tier 3,
right,
if you look at it skill level, right?
Yep.
So really like what they did there. They bring in Mason Smith, great defensive tackle.
Also very good, yep.
Yeah, honestly, and Jordan Jefferson as well in the 4th round. That's a good pickup. So you're shoring up your defensive line there. I don't know why they went a running back. I feel like they in Tank Bigsby, they've already got a good backup, but I'll worry about that another day.
Fair.
And I can't fault it. I mean, they need the only thing I will say is, and I said this about a couple teams, they need a cornerback help. I was terrified that they were going to take Terry Arnold in the first round. Absolutely, can't say the word terrified. I was terrified.
I was
um,
terrified.
uh,
Yep.
but they didn't take him, and I was happy about that. So that's the only. Again, I can't fault them the same way I faulted the Colts. They needed a cornerback. They could have taken a better one, and they didn't. But I love BTJ, and
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, BTJ is a great pick for them, and Mason Smith is a great pick for them. I feel like this is a theme of the draft. It's responsible. It's a responsible class. It's a smart, savvy values where you get them. I'm not at all mad at this draft class by the Jaguars. They checked every box, all their needs. They met. They drafted a player of. Maybe they waited a little long for a corner, for my taste.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be easy to throw on again next year. Let's just get that out of the way. Last but not least, my
All
favorite
right.
team, my
You're
buddies.
talking about them. So we're talking Xavier Worthy, Kingsley Sumatea, Jared Wiley, Jaden Hicks, Hunter Norzad, Kamal Haddon, CJ Hansen.
Yeah, and you know what, man? If we were gonna do if I were to have a draft loser, I'm not impressed with really this class at all. I mean, I think Worthy is nice because of speed, right? They've been chasing down the Tyreek Hill ghost ever since they traded him, even though they're still winning Super Bowls. Worthy could be that for them, and he's the right receiver for them. He's not for everybody. Most teams probably don't know what to do with that speed. They do. That he might end up being an excellent player for them. I'm waiting with bated breath to see how that goes. But I'm not. None of these names are really jumping off the screen to me. Age.
I would say so. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think this is they brought in a tackle because they needed to replace. Sorry, it's still morning time for me. Who did they lose? Orlando Brown.
Yep.
So they brought a tackle for replacement. Jared Wiley as a tight end is a good prospect to someone that
Yeah.
you could build behind Travis
Solid.
Kelsey. So
They got
I
Noah
don't hate
Gray.
that move.
They got guys already.
Yeah, but I don't look.
Foresight.
I do think they want that. They love a good tight end in Kansas City. They know the value of it. So I do like that. Look, Jaden Hicks was okay. Like, obviously, I sort of paid closer attention to the secondary class this year,
He's
and he
cool.
wasn't bad. So you get him in the fourth round. He's fast. He's
Nice
versatile.
value.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Underwhelming
don't
class.
I don't think Xavier Worthy was a first round pick. I understand how fast he is. I get it. He did it. He ran a great 40, the best 40 there's ever been run, but I just
Yeah.
don't think he was that good.
If he's gonna make it work with any team, it's gonna be the Chiefs. So
Anyone would.
I'm not mad at the pick for them. I think it's a fine pick for them. I'm not mad at the Bills for trading with them. I'm not mad at them for moving up. They also lost Donovan Smith. Ooh, yikes. And I don't feel like they've done a ton to revamp. So I think that's a good place. So we stopped directly in the middle of the alphabet for our teams. We'll do the second half of the alphabet next week. We'll keep breaking down the news. We'll talk about the schedule release. It's going to be a really, really fun week.
Get ready for a 4-hour show next week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a fun show today. I mean, I like the holistic. I feel like we're getting deeper than most people who are just saying they're my winners because I had good marks on their guys before the draft. It's very much draft winners and losers, in my opinion, respectfully, no offense to the media. I think it's very much a let me confirm my biases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. And I will say, look, I don't know about you, but when I listen to, because I listen to a bunch of football shows and podcasts, and you want to hear them talk about your team, whether it's a good, whether it's a winner,
Sure.
you want to hear their opinions on your team. So I like the holistic approach as well, because I feel like anyone who's listening here, you're going to get your team talked about.
And
at
I'm
some
sorry
point.
to those of you, Armand, Titan Maximum, the only person we got to their team, us and Mello. Unfortunately, we got a lot of more. We got to talk about Bonner's team next week, Armand's team. So make sure you come back. This was such a fun episode. Adrian, do you have any parting thoughts that you have for the people?
I was just having a look at the Jets and the Titans drafts. I was going to do a snap grade just quickly, but no, you know what? Look, we'll talk about it next week.
Gotta tease it. We need him to come back.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I've got to talk with the New York Jets. I'm happy with their draft. I don't like that they didn't take their ever mocked Brock Bowers. But fashion. So anyway, I think they did well, and I think they're happy with it. They seem happy with their class. Aaron Rodgers, who is their GM and owner, seems happy with their class. So good job there.
Yeah.
And the Titans, we talked about Latham being a solid tackle, so you did well there. Uh, I'm not going to break up. I'm not going to break it all down. I don't love the Titans draft as much. Sorry, Titan Maximum. But
I,
JC
I,
Latham was a good.
I think the Jets had a great draft. I'll say that. We'll talk about it next week, but I'm favorable. They get favorable scores from me, in my opinion.
It's just a sprinkle of the dust.
Got to bring him back. Got to bring him back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hour and 5 minutes of chatting football with you. We really hope to see you all back next week. Please subscribe to Legit Football, the YouTube, legitfootball.com, the daily newsletter. And love from Armand. Love back to you, brother. Sorry for making you the subject of my rant. You were just there. Very much like a sir, this is a Wendy's moment.
Oh, I'm a swan. That is an excellent reference.
I had to get it off my chest.
That
Ooh,
is great.
Maximum, don't. We'll see. Let's come back next week. We'll talk about it. Anyways, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast. That's Adrian Revito. I'm Kevin Phillip Fox, and we are out.